Hello everyone, my name is Dennis Richardson with W.D. Matthews Machinery, and welcome to another W.D. Matthews Training Series video. As a trainer here at W.D. Matthews for the last 30 years, a lot of questions come up on capacity plates, or what we call a data tag. So, in this series we will be covering that in the basic form for an operator to understand how to read one. Since 1939, W.D. Matthews has been helping businesses across Maine and New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and New England with forklift sales, rentals, service, parts, operator training, and material handling solutions. In today's training, again, we're going to be answering a common operator question. How do I read a forklift data plate? And how can I determine how much my lift truck can safely lift? We'll review the key information found on the data plate, explain what it means, and show you how to use it to identify your forklift's lifting capacity under specific operating conditions. If you have any questions about forklift operator training, service, or equipment, the team at W.D. Matthews is here to help you. So let's get started with this series. The first capacity plate we're going to cover is a vintage Clark forklift, back when the ANSI standard for capacity plates were a little bit different from what they are now. So in this example, we have a manufacturer's name, model number, serial number of the truck, and attachments. And in this case, it's the actual serial number off the side shifter. SS is side shifter. Roll clamp would be RC in there. Fork positioner would be FP, with a side shifter would be FPSS. And some manufacturers today even spell out what it is, jib boom. Remembering that all attachments need manufacturer's prior written permission if it affects safe operation or capacity. So in this case, they got permission. There's the authorization number from the factory, that was authorized to put that attachment on the truck. And then in this capacity plate, all capacity plates would have to tell you how much you can lift with a 24-inch load center to your maximum lift height. That is the top of the fork that the load sits on to the surface with a vertical upright. So this truck can pick up 2,300 pounds with a 24-inch load center to 188 inches high. That would be a triple stage upright. And C, you have 24-inch load center from the face of the fork and from the top of the fork up. And I'll explain that in a minute with a triangle or a pyramid. So 2,300 pound capacity, 24-inch load center, 188 inches high, 24 with a vertical upright, not moving. I can lift that load to my maximum lift height. Then you would inch into a rack. In this case, the truck weight would be on the battery, on the data tag, 11,788 pounds. With the maximum battery weight, this truck now weighs 14,545. On very narrow out trucks, your truck weight compared to the load could be 3 to 5 times that amount. So a 3,000 pound narrow out reach truck could weigh 12,000 pounds without a battery. So that's important to know. On a basic internal combustion lift truck, it's approximately 2 to 1 to its capacity. So a 5,000 pound capacity lift truck would weigh approximately 10,000 pounds. Then, key for an operator to know is your minimum maximum battery weight. On the side of your battery, it would tell you what your minimum weight of the battery has to be to pick up this load and what the maximum. That battery that's in your truck has to fall in between these two numbers. Amp hour rating indicates how much charge the battery can deliver over a period of time. For an operator, I don't know, today you have on a modern truck, you would actually have a battery charge indicator. This number, EO or O, electric open system. So an EO truck is open with side covers, refers to a lead acid battery that has steel side covers or a component enclosure to prevent accidental spillage or splash. O is an open battery with no protective cover over the cells. So you will see EO on any truck I've ever seen is EO. Then we get down to volts. 36 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt. So an operator could look at the tag and go to the proper charger for plug-in. Now we're going to go to a modern capacity plate. So on the clock capacity plate, or data tag as it's referred to, that was made to the current ANSI standard for the year the truck was built. Since then, ANSI used to meet about every 3 years, still do, and ANSI's added some things, and some other items on a capacity plate are manufacturer added items. So we still have the basic requirement on an electric forklift, manufacturer's name, model number, serial number, attachments, in this case it's a side shifter with a fork positioner, battery type EO, protective cover over the battery cells, amp hour rating of 660. It's a 48 volt system, type E. The type E, if this had an ES, is safety guarded in certain environments where a regular electric truck cannot go. And that would be an ANSI standard. And then they have to be taken to universal underwriters or equivalent and be tested. They have to be approved for that. So they're designated lift trucks for certain atmospheres where particles or vapors could build up. In this case, this capacity plate meets basic ANSI standard for fire protection. The front tread, 36 inches, is the distance on the drive wheel hub from the center of the left tire over to the center of the right. They use the same chassis for different drive wheel hubs. So it would tell for parts, for instance, if you call for parts, they might ask, what is the front tread? It is the distance from the left tire to the right on your front drive tires. Then we come down, manufacturers now, or a lot of manufacturers will put down, what tire did it leave the factory with? Is it a solid tire or a pneumatic tire, air tired? So they will actually put the size, so there's no more guessing. It's what the truck left the factory with for a tire. We still have the same minimum maximum battery weights. In this case, it's different because it's a different truck. And metric was added. The ANSI standard currently says the US standard or imperial or metric can be used. So if you don't know how to read the metric system, you would have to mark your truck, in my opinion, so an operator could look down and know exactly what the capacity is. Most people in this country may not know how to read metric, so I would actually add a separate piece on the truck so an operator would know and convert it, because once in a while I run into a truck that just has metric. So in this case, we still have 24-inch load center. All lift trucks up to and including 30,000 pound capacities are tested and engineered with a 24-inch load center. We still have our maximum lift height, and we have 2,750 pound capacity with that attachment. Toyota, on a lot of cases, will put how much you can lift with a 30-inch load center, because forks, according to ANSI, have to go 2/3 the length of load to balance the load. You would meet 2/3 length with up to a 48-inch fork, so they tell you how much you can lift with a 30. We're gonna come back up here, and we do have a minimum maximum battery weight, and we have a truck weight without the battery. This truck weighs 5,630 pounds without a battery in it. Then over here, under mast on a Toyota, that actually tells you what upright. The 189 down here would tell you it's a triple stage. But technically, FSV, the most common upright on a Toyota truck, is an FSV. It has 3 sections with full free lift. The carriage goes up before the second stage rises beyond the lowered height of the mast. And it supports high stacking in warehouses while keeping collapsed height low. So if you see that, I always go down here to my maximum lift height in a 188 or 189 triple stage, and they actually make a 4-stage upright. So the 2 electric trucks have more information than our bottom tag, which is an internal combustion, gas, diesel, LPG, or compressed natural gas, CNG. In this case, we have a model number, FSV, triple stage, type LP, basic fire protection. Front tread is 43.1 inches. Tire size is listed here. And this truck has actually got this would be an additional data tag. This has side shifter approved with 72-inch forks extensions. So this truck would be the additional data tag. Your original data tag with just side shifter would still maintain on the truck in case you're not running your fork extensions. This truck says, I can pick up with these fork extensions a 3,500 pound load, 189 inches high, with a 36-inch load center. Then the truck weight with the attachment is 8,940 pounds. So that is the basic information on a capacity plate. If you don't know what each one of these numbers corresponds to, it shows you your load center is 24 inches from the face of the fork out and from the top of the fork up 24 inches. Because if you go to maximum lift height and you have a tall load, your load center, instead of being here, would be at the outside of the stability pyramid, and your truck would be very unstable. So when stacking or racking tall loads on a forklift, it's 48 inches by 48 inches tall at maximum lift height. So they put this perimeter on for all loads at any height, 24, 24. That's how they engineered your capacity on your forklift. So 24 inches from the face of the fork out, 24 inches from the top of the fork up. This affects capacity. Longer loads that go on horizontal on your forks affect side-to-side stability, but your load center would affect your lift capacity. So maintain 24-inch load center. So in this example, we have a 4,000-pound capacity lift truck off the data tag with a 24-inch load center to 189 inches high with a 24-inch load center from the top of the fork up to the center of the load. So the load weighs 4,000 pounds. We meet our 24 inches from the bottom of the top of the fork to the ground. We have 189 inches with a vertical upright. At maximum lift height, our center of gravity, or the combined center of gravity, would be at the very top of this pyramid. If you put a taller load on and the center of gravity was up here, you're up here with your combined center of gravity, and the truck is very unstable. And remembering that this is a 4,000 pound load, vertical upright, not moving. And then I could inch into a rack and lower and back up 8 to 12 inches away from the rack, lower your load, and then travel. So that's how the capacity plate relates to your load and your maximum lift height to maximum capacity with a 24-inch load center. So thank you again for watching our first series on how to read a data tag. In our second series at a future date, we will be reviewing load charts on telescopic handler Class 7 powered industrial trucks.